Hello everyone, the Eurotrip is back for another roundup. Emily is back with us as always, and today we have a guest. This is Anthony Granger, the head of Eurovoix. You would have seen many of their blogs, stuff like that. They also did every single song reviewed in podcast form, which is very entertaining, even to listen back to now. And Emily featured in one of them as well, so you should go listen to them if you haven't.
So you think you know Europe? Think again. One continent.
Tons of music. Okay, ready?
This is the Eurotrip.
Armenia, they have announced the jury that will help them in their selection for finding their song for 2017. Their selection actually starts in September, but the jury for it is a dream team, as people have been calling it. It features the likes of Yves Mikuchkan, Inga Ananoush, Aram MP3, and SI, who is part of Genealogy as well. Anthony, looking at this list of names who are going to help Armenia, how are you feeling about Armenia and their chances in Eurovision 2017?
I think in the past few years they've been putting in a lot of effort with the internal selections, and this time going for a national selection and you've got all sort of big names, well-known people, fan favourites. They're really pushing to win next year in Ukraine.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I like the jury members as well. It's nice seeing them back again, like as part of the selection, and obviously they'll know what they're looking for and what they're doing because they've been there before. So I don't see anything wrong with it or anything.
Yeah, it's unclear like how this selection is still going to work. People are saying it's going to be sort of like an X Factor feel, like them as a panel, but I think it kind of leans away to what kind of song they're going to pick as well, like if this is their decision, because they've all been involved in some sort of contemporary feeling sort of song, like 2009 was very ethnic, so was Yvette's song, Genealogy as well was very different, so I'm not expecting like a Swedish-inspired banger here from Armenia next year.
I was going to say, with the selection, it seems like they're only going to be selecting the artist. From all of the stuff that they've put out, it sounds like this is just a selection for the singer and that the song will probably be chosen at a later stage.
Okay. And so that's probably a good idea, because sometimes the song doesn't match the singer, etc, etc, and Israel have done it several times, so Armenia are probably thinking, hey, we want to do that. So, I'm not always the biggest fan of Armenia in Eurovision, I'll admit it, but I have high hopes for this. I think it could do well. They could, say, get another top 5, or maybe even win it, but, say, the intent to win is definitely there this year, I think. So, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm still not a fan of Love Wave, but that's in the past.
The Eurotrip.
Moving on to national selections, and Latvia have announced their return and the return of Supernova. This has been their format since 2015, and it has worked wonders for them, qualifying both times they've used the format after failing to qualify for the last 5 years. We imagine that the running order of the format is going to be exactly the same as in previous years. Emily, you're a big fan of Latvia in Eurovision, as you've confessed in the past. How are you feeling about Supernova coming back? You are.
Yeah. No, I must admit, like I do like their past 2 entries, so they're clearly doing something right. I think it's the same with maybe not every other Euro fan, but quite a lot of people are now like, hey, Latvia have really picked up the game. You know, they're doing something good. So I think it'll be good for them. But I do have to say that by using this sort of selection, it's pretty obvious who they're going to pick from like the first show that they do, because it's like, oh, Eustace was pretty popular, right, he's going to go. I can't really remember if Aminata was popular, but I know towards the end she was, and then obviously she went, so it's not really like a big massive surprising result like it is in, say, like Melfest or something, but I don't mind the selection itself, and it's clearly doing something good for them, so.
Anthony, Supernova returning, are you happy, sad, annoyed?
I'm happy that they're using Supernova again. My question is their success down to the new format, or whether it's just down to Aminata? Because Aminata's written the past 2 entries, and she's already said she's not going to write a song for next year. So it'll be interesting to see whether that sort of quality sound that we've had from Latvia in the past 2 years can carry over into next.
Very fair point to say Aminata wrote Love Injected and she wrote Heartbeat. I wasn't the biggest fan of Heartbeat, but like we said, both years it's been kind of obvious they're going to do well. Eustace was a bigger winner than Aminata was. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to say there's no Aminata's influence this year, and that's what people have really liked and come to expect from Latvia. So it's going to be interesting. we're going to see a lot of returning artists because Latvia's such a small nation and so many returns last year. Say, like, probably expecting Marcus Reaver, I'm expecting Electrofolk, I'm expecting Samantha Tina, all of them to come back. So we're going to have to wait and see, but I'm just hoping the selection isn't such a, oh, this is the obvious winner. Because I didn't really watch Supernova last year just because it's like, oh, that's going to win. It's head and shoulders above the rest. I don't need to watch the rest of the shows, and I was proven right. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Is there anyone from Supernova's past few years that you would like to return that you enjoy as an artist, or are you not too fussed either way?
There was, I can't pronounce this, but I'm going to have a guess at it. I think they were called Zima. I think they performed in Latvian. It was a really bizarre sort of, there wasn't any backing track, a cappella. I quite like the sound of that. I know it does absolutely awful at Eurovision, but I'd love to see them come back with something.
Emily?
I quite liked My Radiant You from this year, from, well, the last year that they did it. They had, it was like a duet and they had like really nice harmonies and stuff. I don't know whether that was just to do with the song or whether it was to do with like them themselves. So if they came back, like, I'd like to see what they'd come back with.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm kind of pulling for either My Radiant You or Marcus Reaver or Electrofolk, as long as they kind of bring back Sundance, like what they did for BAT, because their entry this year was just such a letdown for me, and I kind of want the wacky element that I know they have again. And I wouldn't mind that they're sending a wacky entry like they have in the past, just make sure it's a good wacky entry.
The Euro trip.
RTBF, the Belgian-French broadcaster, has announced it's between two potential names to represent them in Belgium Eurovision 2017. It is between Pierre Lizzie and Olivier Kay. Both have been from The Voice. Both have been getting a lot of media attention recently as a result, and they haven't announced when they're announcing these singers or which one it's going to be, but these are the two front runners, it seems. Emily, how do you feel about Belgium going for what looks like an internal selection and using The Voice as a vehicle format again for them?
I don't see anything wrong with that personally. They've used The Voice, people from The Voice before with Loic and Roberto, and they've done well. So I haven't actually like heard of these people who are like in the running to be the entry, but I don't see anything wrong with using The Voice because it's clearly a successful show in Europe, in the world. So yeah, they could do well. I'm not sure yet.
I'm happy to see them using The Voice again, because traditionally RTBF have been the worst of the two broadcasters when it comes to selecting people for Eurovision, lest we ever forget the Elvis Presley guy from 2009, whoever was at RTBF and went, yes, this is the person we're picking, was completely and utterly mad. But yeah, I'm happy to see them use The Voice. Like Emily, I haven't actually listened to any of the performances from Pierre or Olivier, but if they're anything like Loic and they come with a modern sounding song and they can repeat the success that Belgium's had in the past 3 to 4 years, I'd be very happy.
I must admit, I've listened to both artists since they've been announced, and it's quite different because Pierre has the sort of Loic sort of sound, like he's 20, very young, a very contemporary song. His self-penned song, I'm Not a Ghost, is quite good, but Olivier is a much stronger singer when you listen to him. There's a lot stronger voice. He's on a cover of Cry Me River by Michael Bublé, which is very, very impressive. So it's very tough to see who they're going to pick if it is between these two. I personally would pick Olivier, but at the same time, I'm not too bothered. I do think, Belgium are taking the contest more seriously now, as say, Copycat in 2009, Axel 2014. It looks like they've sort of just, realised that they need to be more serious with this now, and they've had top 10s the last 2 years, and no reason why they can't do it again, because I don't think any of us really thought what the pressure was going to be in the top 10, to be honest. I didn't.
I wasn't expecting it.
I don't think anyone saw that one coming.
The Euro trip.
And rounding it off, Iceland have confirmed that they are returning to Eurovision 2017. That completes all 5 Nordic countries confirming their participation. They haven't qualified the last 2 years with Maria or Greta Salome, despite the outcry here and the callings failures qualified produced. Are we hopeful Iceland can break this little run this year, do you feel, or are they just they're always going to be the nearly country with 2 solid entries that haven't qualified?
I hope not. I hope they do end up doing well. they deserve it because they've been in the contest for so long now, and like I don't know, they're one of the countries where I think I really like the entries, but then they always end up being underrated, and I don't know why. So I am hoping that they will end up pulling something out that will end up doing like as well as Johanna in 2009, or even win the contest eventually. But obviously, as we've seen for the past 2 years, they haven't done the best. So whether this means changing something or rethinking what they're doing, I'm not sure.
I agree with Emily there. I feel like Iceland sends good songs, but I feel like somewhere in the selection process the past 2 years it's gone slightly wrong. Whereas in 2015 they sent a nice song, but the staging and the performance on the night, the staging looked great, but the performance on the night didn't come up to scratch. And Greta this year somehow slipped through. Don't know how, but there's something does need to change with the selection process if they want to make it back to the final.
Yeah, I think, with Greta we could speculate all day and all night what happened. Was it the running order? Was it the camera shots showing the screen behind her? We don't know. My only gripe with the Icelandic selection is the fact they have to sing Icelandic in the first round. I mean, I love the language, I get it, but if you're not going to send a song in Icelandic to Eurovision, why have that? Why have them do that? Because I just think it's a bit pointless, and looking at this before we filmed, Vladina actually placed third in her semi-final, so Greta nearly didn't make the final, and then we would have never had Hear Them Calling. So I just don't understand why they have to sing in one way when they're not planning on doing it for Eurovision, because the song sounds totally different in 2 different languages. An example of this is the Tommy Chevy Sisters' Shine in Russian. Sounds a totally different song. So I'm just a bit bemused by that. But I like Iceland in Eurovision. I want them to come back. Well, they are coming back, but I want them back in the final. I mean, Polapunk was great. 2011 was great. 2012 was great. They've just been great. So I need them back in the final, for sure. And is there any Icelandic entries that you would want back in their format, or just to go to Eurovision at all? Any names that pop out?
There's one, Erna Hone. She's been a backing singer for Iceland, probably, I think it's something coming up 5 or 6 times, and she's been in the selection so many times. I'd just like to see her finally get that step where she goes from being in the background to actually having the stage for herself. She had a decent song in this year with the winner of the Icelandic version of The Voice. I just hope she come back with something a little bit more modern next year.
Emily, any?
Anyone off the top of my head?
I think the 2 that's springing to my head are Carlotta and Alda from this year. I liked both their songs. Now and I the Storm are both very good, but my heart was sold in Hear Them Calling, so I didn't really care for them at the time. But they're both strong singers, and yeah, you say we don't know what Iceland can do. Like I said, Maria, good song, but a very weak performance, and Greta, who knows, answers on a postcard. That's all for this roundup today. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Anthony. Make sure you check out the Eurotrip.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And make sure you check out Eurovoix as well. They are too. Also in Europe. There. My brain has turned to soup. They are also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Eurovoix.com. And thank you very much for watching, guys. And we shall speak to you next time. Thanks.